Forbes India presents Redefining CX, the edge of collaboration platform, powered by Zoom.
Hello and welcome to Forbes India presents Redefining CX, the edge of collaboration platform powered by Zoom. I'm your host Gautam Srinivasan, and the focus of my conversation today with a panel of leaders will be on rethinking workflow integration for better CX and EX. So why workflow? Well, because when serving the always-on customer, a digitally enabled company needs all of its parts to be agile and flexible in delivering on customer expectations. So in that context, the employee experience or EX comes into focus for delivering great customer experience or CX. So if you get both sides of the equation right, you position your enterprise for sustainable growth and a great return on your investment. So the big question, how do you innovate for great EX and CX? And of course, make collaboration easier to drive value across your ecosystem. So let's find out from our lineup of speakers hailing from a variety of sectors. Joining me are Subin Ettickal, SVP for Digital Servicing and Communications at Axis Bank. Also on the panel are Krishnan Venkateswaran, Chief Digital and Information Officer at Titan. Irshad Saifi, CIO and Chief Digital Information Officer at Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas & Co. Sumanta Ghosh, Senior Vice President and Head of Technology at Aegon Life Insurance. M. Sivasubramanian, who's the Group CIO at TA Wabag. And Sameer Raje, General Manager and Head for India and the SAARC region at Zoom. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this talk and looking forward to hearing from you the variety of use cases of innovative workflows driving collaboration across the worlds of banking, fashion, legal, insurance, water management, and of course, communication. But before that, here's a quick cue to our audience that you can drop in your questions to us. And after we are done with our Q&A in the panel, we'll be coming across and taking a few questions from you that you drop to our handles. Well, let's start the conversation with a broad overview. So, Sameer, coming to you, what are the basic tenets, in your opinion, of a smart workflow for any organization, and how should they go about ensuring that speeding up a workflow does not actually cause friction down the line for the employee and unlocks value for the organization that was not seen before from a CX lens?
Well, Gautam, first and foremost, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure, and it's a pleasure to meet all my co-panelists. So, if you look at the CX lens, right? I mean, if you talk about CX lens, and especially for a variety of industries, it's the basic behavior of a consumer is dependent of two factors. First is omni-channel experience. They don't want to, have a siloed experience, whether it is sales, whether it is pre-sales, whether it is post-sales or support. If they are interacting with salesperson, they would want the salesperson to be equipped to provide responses even for support, or even at least get the right person for support reasons, right? So that's the first part, which is the omni-channel response. And the second is the response time itself, how fast you get response. Now if you look at on the employee side, there are two critical aspects, and what causes the friction with the CX and the employees really get frustrated with is, first and foremost, is the access to information. Now usually if you land up at a support desk, or even if at a sales desk, the customer is looking for information, customer is looking for response, customer is looking for billing response, support times, whatever it might be. Now if the first point of contact within the system is not able to gather or capture or provide responses, or even have any information related to the customer, that's where the first thing goes down. And the next is empowerment. How fast can the first point of contact can actually take a decision and respond? Maybe if you're talking about a bank, or if you're talking about a consumer retail application, or if you're talking about food delivery app, how fast can the support agent actually refund your 20 rupees? It's a matter of 20 rupees or 50 rupees. How fast can it be refunded? But if that is not done on time, then there is a friction at both the ends. Customers, they are going to be pissed off, they are going to be absolutely angry, and we've seen that escalations going through Twitter and LinkedIn and all sorts of social media. Now LinkedIn has also become like that. So in my opinion, customers are looking at omni-channel experience when they're interacting. They don't want to have multiple applications for demanding sales or support or whatever. And at the same time, they are looking for a faster resolution at a faster time frame. And when the employees are unable to provide that, and are not well informed and not empowered, that's when hell breaks loose.
Absolutely. And we are in an era where a lot of the focus for the enterprise is also on retaining customers. In many of the conversations that I've had, considering, acquisition of customers is 25 times more expensive than retention, it becomes all the more important for organizations to have the experience of that information exchange be a value exchange between the enterprise and, of course, the customer. What they want, what they seek, the enterprise provides in the right context. Let's explore some of the use cases coming out of this in terms of a workflow perspective. And of course, banking is busy and buzzing, and especially during the pandemic period, a lot of developments happen. So I'm going to come to understand the Axis Bank example from Subin. So Subin, let me bring you in. Axis Bank, I believe, is working on over 30 initiatives to execute its digital strategy across retail, commercial, and corporate customer segments and employees. Now, I want to understand from you, how have workflows been reimagined for better CX to cross-sell and upsell across your programs? And there are many, including Leap, Maximus, Sankalp, Siddhi, and all. And also, I want to understand from you, how have you sort of broken down siloed workflows by making over 250 services available digitally to release frontline capacity from servicing and enable them to focus on customer relationship building and sales?
Hey, hi. Thanks, Gautam, for having me here. So, as you mentioned, Axis Bank today is on a digital journey which had started almost 2 to 3 years back. For the bank that our size today, with close to 88,000 employees servicing more than 28, 30 million customers today, it's not an easy, exercise at our end. Plus, the kind of expectations that the regulators and the customers have from a bank of our size is not the same today. So it's not been an easy journey for us. But yes, what we've been able to do is the 30 plus initiatives that we have been able to mention. It's just the starting point, and we've been able to deliver that and much more. Some of the new initiatives you would have just seen, a new corporate banking initiative that we've launched. These are all pan bank projects that we have started as a part of our our GPS strategy 2 years, almost 2 years back, wherein we reimagined the way we wanted to service our customers and be future ready. That's where we embarked on this entire exercise, where we said, we have a sharp focus on our customer experience, and this would be driven by having a digital first agenda for sure. And this cuts across the bank. And today, it's not an operational driven or a tech driven approach from a digitization perspective. Today, every banker in each of our branches and each of our corporate offices talk about digital servicing to our customers. This has become a ethos across the organization today. And today, every project that is run is with an element of digitization involved in each and every process that we do. This is driven mainly from the top. So we have a senior management who drives this agenda, walking the talk in terms of what is it that digital can deliver for us. As you would be aware, we are one of the largest banks in terms of technology employees that we have hired. So be it tech engineers, design engineers, that has been put in place to help the bank move to the next level. It's not been easy. Plus, we have a lot of our partners who's come to the foray. So we are working with a lot of technology partners out there who are innovating, co-creating products and services with us for the future banking needs of the customers. And finally, data. We as a bank have a lot of data that belongs. Customers leave with us, and it's very enriching, and we're using that to our advantage to provide seamless banking to the customers, be it on the products as well as on the servicing side. So it's been an exciting journey, and we at Axis are working towards delivering this and much more to our customers.
Absolutely. That's the Axis Bank journey on being dil se open to customers, as their tagline goes. All right, let's see what the legal world is throwing up in terms of changing workflows, because while the sector might be seen as archaic when compared to other sectors, lots of developments are happening broadly. Irshad, let me bring you in for that. I want to cite something which Shardul Shroff cited when he spoke at a conference this year, and he shared that the practice of law is going to be radically transformed via e-discovery, litigation analytics, etc. So applications of AI and ML, let's say that includes contract review, legal research, litigation prediction, etc. So lots of developments are happening. So how have workflows at Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas changed to capitalize on the broader changes coming in the Indian legal landscape, including the e-courts mission, which is in phase 2?
Sure. Thanks, Gautam. Thanks for being me here. So it's so true. I think what Mr. Shroff has mentioned is definitely one of the things that is happening. So as we see, the technology revolution is really making an impact in all the industries. We have heard from Axis Bank and all other places. So does the legal industry. Um, if we look at some of the areas where things are really making a lot of impactful from the technology standpoint, say for example, the e-court with litigation practice that you mentioned. As per the record of 2022, uh, it says that over 4.7 crore cases are still pending in the courts. And as per the Niti Aayog report, it's going to take around 324 years to clear that backlog. So this e-code thing has to be really pushed across in the industry in order to really clear all of this backlog. The other thing is this online arbitration. I'm basically talking about the legal changes that needs to happen in general, and then we'll come to Shardul Immersion for sure. And then second is the online arbitration, which basically wherein the corporates can go and file their disputes directly instead of going to the traditional courts. So all of these could have high potential to reduce a lot of burden from the courts, and it will help to move things really faster. um, as far as our firm is concerned, and most of the other law firms are also concerned, I think our key focus is to increase the productivity of each lawyer that we have. And in order to do that, we have to enable a lot of technologies, such as we have gone and done artificial intelligence and machine learning based learning management system, employee life cycle system, contract review system, contract proofing, documents proofing. So all of these cumulatively, it really goes and help to save a lot of time for our lawyers to digitize most of this stuff, and also save their lot of time and spend the same amount of time in doing the intelligent activities. So as we are seeing, I mean, these are the things that are happening, and as the time comes, we will see more and more these technologies will make more impact to the industry, be it the area of, like you said, the legal research, the litigation prediction, and many more to come. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. While the law might be steady, the workflows are fluid. And speaking of fluid, I
Yeah.
want to get a perspective from a water engineering company and see what they have to say about this. Siva, let me bring you in. The last time we spoke, you mentioned a few initiatives that included, say, monitoring field representatives in real time, and also how Wabag uses something along the lines of enterprise search, a kind of internal Google for your employees as a
Yeah.
knowledge repository. So I want to know, how have things moved forward now in terms of making workflows smarter to ensure that friction is
Okay.
reduced for employees and work from home is more productive than work from office?
Okay. I think we are one of the industry where, thank you first of all, Gautam, and thanks for being, thank you for all the co-panelists. To start with, again, we are now 100% working in office. It's a hybrid, and the percentage of the people who have work from home is basically it's minimized. Again, it depends on the need and on, it's again depends on the function. So that we have come across now. To take it to the next level of what we have spoken in the last time is that there is a requirement now from the customers or from the clients is that how do we ensure that all your workforces in remote locations are performing what kind of activities. So we kind of have a CRM system where you can put all your complaints and stuff like that into the toll free number. And the government also agency started asking for the how do I know that this particular gang is being deputed there or deployed there to perform this particular activity. Can I integrate this particular workforce and bulk this particular ticket and it's been closed? And so that is the next level of requirement which has come. So that is a work in progress.
All right. Next stop, let's check out what's happening in the insurance world. Again, a lot of changes have happened, especially during the pandemic, which are sticking on as we move in a post pandemic environment. So, Sumanta, let me bring you in. Insurance in India has traditionally been sold via the push model, but in keeping with the rise of millennials and their digital first preferences, Aegon Life has focused on direct to consumer pull based distribution, which ensures the majority of your sales they come from online channels. So I want to you to take us through how your workflows have been designed to attract and retain customers, and how you go about deciding which business process needs to be automated, and which requires a human resource from an ROI lens.
Hey, first of all, thanks for having me here, and I'm happy to be here with all the co-panelists as well. Yes, the question is very pertinent and kind of triggered during the pandemic even more. So as you know, we are a life insurance company, and it's taking life insurance is almost like taking a loan. It's like you have to get into an agreement. It's a commitment from the insurance company to the customer, right? If something happens to him, then the insurance company would cover. Now, for that, there is a lot of checks and balances and evaluations, underwriting, etc. needs to be done, which were really challenging in terms during the pandemic time. Now, as in Aegon Life, we already have taken the strategy of zero docs, zero ops. So we use the term zero docs, zero ops. So basically, we say that the ops is completely digitized, and customer does not have to upload, even for that matter, upload even any sort of document. So we would be running our processes completely based on technology and data. So by means of data, when I say data, it's data driven, artificial intelligence driven underwriting. So we have embarked upon the journey wherein apart from medical, for the cases where medical examination is needed, obviously that's physical medical is needed. Rest all the cases scenarios, we can issue a policy by running the workflows by digital means, by collecting data from various third-party resources to check for frauds, check for customers' financial capability in terms of supporting policies. So as a result, what is happening is we are able to do straight through processing for quite a huge percentage of our application policy administration cases, policy approval cases, and wherever there is medical, post medical also it is an automated workflow. So we have embarked upon this journey starting from back in 2009, where we have deployed. We have worked on and deployed a completely cloud native insurance ecosystem, which is the kind of each department is implemented as a connected workflow, and kind of the steps of the operations are being done by technology. Yes, wherever there is manual checks needed, there are manual steps in those workflows. But the idea was, first we will stitch the entire organization by means of distributed workflow so that it can scale, and then for each of those touch points, we will replace them. Instead of human, we will try to replace them with technology and artificial intelligence, like we did for underwriting. We are now in the process of making some of the steps automated for claims processing as well. Not completely, but as much as we can. Like we are now evaluating if I can get the data read from government provided the death certificates. We can read it automatically and then collect data out of it, etc. So we do completely 100% digitized KYC for our customer, for example, when the purchase journey starts. So that way we have become a completely digitized organization. But before that, the important thing for us was workflow many a time remains as an unsung hero, right? People talk a lot about AI driven, data driven, all this stuff, but people forget about that these AI capability or the data capability will give you the point solution. That means, okay, if you want to evaluate a particular case for a risk perspective, yes, there is AI algorithm for that. But in order to stitch that entire thing, starting from a customer starts a journey, submits an application, then it goes through different stages of approval or underwriting, and then finally a policy gets issued. This has to be stitched together. So there the workflow plays a very important role. And what we did is we started with workflow, and then individual steps of the workflow has been changed instead of manual to be digitized by means of artificial intelligence, data collection, and stuff.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's the context which matters. You might have a variety of tools. What is the context with which you are looking to use those tools to serve your customer or improve employee experience? That's what matters. And that helps you stitch it together for better outcomes. That's from a volume perspective. I want to take the conversation towards a more bespoke area. So, Krishnan, let me bring you in again. In our earlier chats, you've spoken about the omni-channel capabilities powering a more effective phygital experience for customers of Titan, whether it's jewelry, watches, or eye care. So, you cited an example, if I remember, of the jewelry business where the insight was that small buyer of today is the growing buyer 3 or 4 years down the line for you. So the same level of service performance is given for simple purchases versus, say, a large wedding jewelry order. So it's almost a key account management relationship versus a traditional B2C approach. So I want to know from you, expanding on that earlier conversation, how do your workflows enable a bespoke experience for a Titan customer, even for small ticket transactions?
Okay, let me start off with saying that what the industry calls omni-channel to us is actually unichannel when you look at from the customer's perspective, right? As far as the customer is concerned, coming to us digitally in store, it's all a seamless experience, and we are doing our best to try and ensure that the entire experience is stitched together, right? So today you could go to our e-commerce website and simply complete a purchase, and we are trying to make it more and more frictionless. But you could also invite a conversation, and we can converse with you via live chat, WhatsApp, multiple channels. And many of our products, as you would know, and I hope many of you and the audience are our customers already, you would know that many of our products actually are best experienced and bought in our stores, right? Especially the most intricate piece of jewelry or saris and so on and so forth. And so therefore, we could actually schedule your appointment in the store. And so therefore, the experience cycle is complete, and you are able to experience a pre-scheduled and to that extent more efficient and yet pleasurable visit into a store. So depending on the way you would like to buy and obviously the range of products that you would like to, you could probably conclude your purchase on our site within a minute or two, or spend a very pleasurable hour or two in our store. And we are able to stitch that entire experience. So for example, we have thousands of colleagues in our stores who have a connection with millions of our customers. So we don't make cold calls as a company, right? You will not receive a call from an unknown number. So we have registered all our store numbers so that when you receive a call from a store, it is usually from a person who you have interacted with, and we keep track of that, right? So the last person who has interacted with the customer is usually the first choice to call back with, let's say, an offer or an invite to visit the store to see a new collection or whatever, right? And so almost always it's a warm call, and usually the store name will be visible on your phone, so you will know where the call is coming from. So these are the kind of things we have been trying to do using a combination of call center technology, which is all available, all of us know about it, CRM websites, but we are doing our best to stitch the experience so that if you just share your minimum PI with us, right, contact number, email ID, and name, nothing more, we are actually able to not just stitch the experience for you, but also be able to recommend what we believe you'd like. So our AI-driven recommendation engines are getting sharper, and we can see the success in the store as well as on the site. I
So
could
you
go
know
on.
what the
So
customer wants
I think
before
it's
they do.
wise of me to stop here.
You know what the customer wants before even the customer knows what they want. But one commonality which we are hearing across sectors is stitching together the experience, and how having workflows working towards a certain context, a certain outcome, is always the way to go. That was the use case perspective being shared by our guests from a variety of sectors. Let's get down to the brass tacks. And before we do that, again, a reminder to the audience to drop in your questions, and we'll look to take a few of them at the end of my conversation with the panel. All right, getting back to business, as they say. Sameer, according to one study, unnecessary meetings, which are not critical and absolutely necessary, they can cost companies upwards of $100 million annually. So if the debate around unnecessary meetings boils down to urgent tasks versus important tasks, I want to know from you, how should leadership give employees the context as to say what is important and what is urgent so that they can make better decisions? Your thoughts on this?
Well, frankly speaking, at Zoom we have a different thought process altogether. We don't feel, and we are not of the opinion that meetings are tasks. Meetings are for tasks. Meetings are for human connect. Meetings are for experience. Meetings are for giving that element of communication between employees and customers. And whether the customer and Mr. Krishnan spoke about the experience. It's so fantastic when you have interacted with somebody in a store and you're getting a call back from the same person rather than getting a call from an unknown number and who doesn't even know what he or she is speaking about. So if you look at meetings, we don't treat meetings as task oriented. Meetings have to be about human elements. That's the first thing. So anything and everything that you do around any workflows, Zoom enables the human element around that. And that's what the basis of Zoom is. That's how Zoom was formed. Even today, we work on the basis of giving that human connect, human touch experience in anything, any kind of interaction or changing your experience. So that's the first element. Now, if you break down the meeting component itself further down, there are two types of things. First is the transient meeting information, and second is the persistent meeting information. You can have umpteen number of meetings. You're worried about, hey, I'm going to switch on my camera. Who is there at the background? Or somebody says I cannot join in at this moment of hour. Can you take the notes for me? From there on to having that documented and information available. Again, going back to Mr. Krishnan's experience, and that's such a fantastic example use case. When you have a meeting about, let's say, a customer escalation, right? And if you are unable to find that information in Salesforce, or your immediate line manager, sales manager, or anyone is not able to get that information in Salesforce or CRM system or support system, then all hell breaks loose. Similarly, if I have to talk about the legal systems, right? I mean, there are today so many courts, high courts functioning on Zoom, where there is actually a kiosk set up. There is a desk set up where you can actually log in and see what are the cases registered coming up for hearing today. And then you can choose to opt in into a particular case and listen and view that live, right? So it is not, it's not taxing the system. It's not taxing you per se. It is all about bringing that human element. Hey, this is the hearing which I want to listen. I'll be done in whenever it comes up, I'm done it. And secondarily, when this information is captured in a persistent manner, not in a transient manner. Let's example, when all this information is brought into team chat, or it is brought into a chat channel with a customer itself, where somebody, let's say, who is from support was not available for the meeting, has access to that information. Same way sales, same way somebody superior, all have an access to that same conversation which was discussed with the customer. That's when the experience changes, and that's the human element which we deliver at Zoom.
All right, Krishnan, let me get your response in, and then I'll come to Irshad, because while we speak of the human connect, one of the issues for any company to approach this is also that, you have an RM who has built a great relationship with the customer, and then say the RM moves, right? So that becomes one side of the issue. The other is, we talk about altering consumer behavior to drive retention, but I want to also know, how can technology alter employee behavior to drive more efficient collaboration at work and make workflows more seamless in the face of, increasing complexity enabled by a digital first world? Because for the employee, from a bird's eye view, all these initiatives might be great, but at the end, it also requires that employee buy-in and a change in employee behavior as they approach their workflow. So your thoughts on this, Krishnan, and then I'll come to Irshad on this.
Sure. Before I answer the question, let me give you a small data point. We have many customers whose personal connect with our sales colleague in our stores is so close that when our colleague moves to a different store, the customer starts shopping in the new store, even though the travel time might be higher. It's actually quite remarkable the extent to which it's possible to create a lasting personal connect. Now, coming to your question, it is essentially about being able to figure out what exactly the employee is trying to accomplish in any context and providing technology for that. Let me give you one example. I have many, but let me give you one. As you know, our jewelry stores no single jewelry store can store the national merchandise, right? And consumers do come see a collection and they like it, but probably the piece that they are looking for is not there. So what we have implemented is a system in our jewelry division, in fact, in all divisions, I will focus on jewelry, called the endless aisle. So our sales colleague can actually browse the collections of other stores based on her understanding of what the customer has preferred and showcase merchandise which is not with her at that moment of time. It might be in a store in another city or perhaps 3 kilometers away. And many customers have liked what they've seen on the screen, have actually bought it, and this financial year alone, we are registering several hundred crores of attributable business through this endless aisle technology alone. So if you look at it in terms of in-store assisted commerce, to use industry parlance, we are perhaps one of the biggest in that particular category, right? And this may not necessarily fall into the restricted definition of what you may call workflows, but it is actually a flow of information, and it is actually a flow of product. So the store that has the product is generally obliged to send it based on a request, and both the sending store as well as the selling store receive credit. So it's also a definition of incentives, right? So it becomes a joint target of two stores to be able to sell that item to the customer, because both get the credit for it. So there's a whole organizational design of incentives, and obviously a very efficient way of discovering the product and shipping it across. So
All right, an organizational design for incentives. I like that sentence, and I'm going to use it on to taking that conversation forward when I bring in Irshad. Irshad, when we look at the legal field, right, the age spectrum is varied. When we look at senior partners versus junior lawyers, I want to understand from you, from an incentivization perspective, how can technology alter employee behavior to drive more efficient collaboration? Because there will be a cohort of your employees who prefer the analog way of doing things, and there'll be another cohort who prefer the digital way of doing things. How do you reconcile both sides?
Well, that's a great question. And this is a normal debate that we typically have in the firm on a regular basis. We definitely have some sort of these categorized people. One who are tech savvy, which are typically the younger people, and the other is people who are a little older. So, so yeah, so whenever we try to implement technology, I think one of the first and foremost thing is that how we can make the technology simpler, so that it tries to get used by all the spectrum of the people, regardless of their age and the maturity of the technology that they have. Regardless, I think it's pretty common across the board, across the industries. Change management is a very difficult process. Whenever you want to introduce changes, there would be resistance initially. There would be some acceptance and initial, and at some point of time, there would be a joy. So that's a process that we follow. So and that process really goes through creating some of the custom trainings for the partners, specifically just briefing the advantage of the technology. However, there would be another targeted training created for the associates and senior associates, so that they can understand the technology, also get more detailed view of the technology. So various adoption strategies, various adoption innovation playbooks that we create, we really follow the design thinking process for this entire change management enablement, to really make sure that it's successful. And our internal data shows that some of the technologies uh, have been really adopted well. There are certain technologies which we are still trying to find out how we can enable or make the adoption much faster to them. So that's an ongoing tussle that we always have, but nevertheless, I think it's an enjoying process. We always try and see how the employees productivity can be increased, because that's the bottom line. And in order to do that, whatever steps that needs to be taken, various strategies that needs to be adopted, I think we try and change some of the levers there. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely, and it's an evolutionary process. And speaking of design thinking, there's also that issue which comes of flexibility versus control when we look at workflow evolution. So Subin, let me bring you in for that perspective, because when we look at workflow evolution, it comes with two challenges. That's according to a study, which is change realization and change discovery. So I want to know from you, how do you ensure that, say, your technologically enabled workflows are flexible and adaptive to the dynamic trends in your business or workforce, while at the same time ensuring control to the enterprise and consistency in delivery for customers? How do you sort of walk the tightrope?
So, so Gautam, very relevant to our industry and our current trends today. So, one of the trends that we have been observing is, one, technology has been evolving, and so has been the customer expectations from be it BFSI or any of the other consumer businesses that is there in the industry today. And plus, the regulator has also been keeping speed on the technology trend. So, be it re-KYC, be it adoption of newer technologies for payments, UPI route, or any of the newer technologies. Technology is rapidly changing. We at a bank, are on a transformation journey which aligns itself to keeping ourselves as future ready. We believe that we have come across as a 28-year-old bank. We need to be there for the next, multiple, decades going forward. And what does this mean for us as employees at the bank is working on three work streams. One, work on the core processes and systems that we have today. So it's not an easy journey for a bank of our scale to change overnight our core systems and processes. But that means we need to invest that much more time and effort in terms of ensuring that the core is really up and ready for future challenges. Second is being really agile. So as an organization of our scale, 85,000 plus, servicing such a large customer base across products and services, pan country across multiple segments, we need to be agile, and we need to be really keeping abreast with the technology and the customer expectations and needs from a future banking perspective. That's where we continue to invest in people and in the technology that we get in. Third is from a regulatory perspective, we need to be sure that we are not compromising on anything related to corporate governance or any kind of a regulatory ask that is there. The crux of all of this comes in the way we hire employees and the way we train them and groom them. So while we can, as a bank, invest in technology, the bottom line comes to how does our bankers, the core bankers that is in the branches, versus the kind of people that we hire are able to adopt this. Flexibility comes with people adopting technology and using it and leveraging it to service the customers. So be it a customer acquisition journey or be it a servicing journey, we prepare our employees with the newer technologies that we are deploying for them, or handhold them well, and ensure that they're leveraging those to service the customers well. This is an ongoing process. Given the kind of attrition that we have, across the sectors today, the great resignation, that we're seeing today, it's not an easy journey. Which is where investing in people remains a core to a sector like ours, which is banking. They are the ones who will get this flexibility to the services that we are providing to our customers. It's not a one size that fits all. You need to keep on evolving as we progress and build these services and solutions for our customers. That's the way we progress today.
All right. Let's also bring in an element of risk to the conversation. But before that, again, a cue to our audience to keep coming up with your questions. Give it to us, and we'll take that at the end of our conversation, which is about to conclude in a few minutes. But dialing back to the element of risk, which I spoke about. Siva, let me bring you in. I want to understand, how can smarter workflows enable the organization to be more risk resilient? How do you see, say, maybe business continuity planning evolving with more flexible workflows? Because we are in an era where you have a lot of tools, you have a lot of abilities to withstand the risk. The pandemic taught us a lot of lessons. So maybe some lessons from there, which works for your organization from a risk resilience perspective. Any improvement in your workflow?
Hi, thanks again, Gautam. So we are not in kind of B2 customer facing industry. We are basically into B2B and B2B and with the B2G commerce. So we don't directly deal with the end consumers like man, except a couple of projects. So the majority of things, what generally happens is on the obviously this EPC industry process has been there for more than 2 to 3 decades. There are chances that the process has changes are needed, and some places the kind of people, process, and technology has to be aligned. But most of the places, what happens is on the people is changing, movements are becoming a challenge. So the common workflows are how do you the knowledge transfer happens from one place to one person to another person, and how the seamless information which flows. That is a one challenge. That is one risk. The second risk is on the uh, uh, as a industry perspective, and there is nothing called a common workflow or the BPM solutions where it can seamlessly integrate with the other point solutions which has been built over decades. these are the kind of risk which is there pertaining to this particular industry. How do you take it from where it has been there in the previous projects and stuff like that?
Hmm. All right. Let's also bring in the aspect of service recovery, because service was seen as a key part of the conversation earlier. Sumanta, let me bring you in for that. How are your workflows designed for service recovery to convert negative experiences of customers into positive outcomes? Because it is bound to happen. You are going to face some flack from customers, something which they didn't see matching up to their expectations. But the companies which have gone on to drive growth for themselves are the one who have converted those negative experiences to positive outcomes. So I want to know, from a workflow perspective, service recovery, what are the elements at play?
So it's so generally insurance agreements are like long running insurance or long running agreements, like people buy life insurance for like 15 years, 20 years or so of that sort. Okay. Now, when there comes an element of customer dissatisfaction, there is while coming from the technology background, but I would still accept there has to be a human touch in the first first step of when you're addressing that concern. So that part is that part is not, I would say, not digitized or automated. It's still human, and probably we have to keep this human. There the idea is that, okay, we should have less and less this kind of scenarios wherein chances of customer being dissatisfied increases. Now, coming to the second step, let's say a customer is dissatisfied, and we have understood the customer's expectation and where he is not feeling happy and all. So there, then what happens is we have designed some kind of in the workflows, there are certain exceptional or some exceptional steps which a particular authority can take action on. And then again, as I said, since we have stitched it all together, let's say a customer service request is stuck at a particular case or got rejected at a particular step. Since it is stitched, the moment we do this exception, the rest of the process is again automated. Okay. So let's say he got stuck in one place, and then as per our current process, yes, we cannot give him that that service, or and he's irate, or his case is really genuine. And many of the time in our case, what is happening is, since we have digitized everything, it's based on completely on data, and sometimes even if system from the system point of view, the data is not correct, but from the customer's point of view, it's correct. I'll give you an example. So let's say we have digitized the KYC. So we said it's completely online KYC. Okay. And then we collect data we try to get the data from Aadhaar government database like Aadhaar, SAARC, driving license and all. Now, in some of the scenarios, what is happening is, when these kind of repositories got created, at that time, the data quality was not that good. Okay. So what happened is, like, okay, we tried to get the name of the person from the NSDL record, and it's just a fast name, or it's just a word. Okay. And as a result, we had to stop that customer, saying that we are not able to do your KYC. And then those kind of exception, yes, because our systems are also learning. We are learning new sets of, in the production, we are understanding, okay, there are these kind of data scenarios coming up as well. So there is whenever we design a workflow, we have created a, since it is all stitched, so there is always an exception fallback is available to start with. And more the days passed by, the system learns better, and this exceptional route gets reduced day by day. So yes, the first cut is obviously there is someone interacts with the customer, and then because we still feel if a customer is irate, then that the first interaction and human interaction is very important. Okay. And then, but the key point is the recovery, right? Once we see that the case is genuine, and actually because of systems strictness, we are not allowing something, then then we see that, okay, this step is passed, obviously with a person with some authority, then the next step is again automated. That way we kind of try to make sure. So it's two steps. First step is human touch, so that there's someone is addressing the customer. But after it is it is done and then the due diligence is checked, then the rest process is again kind of straight through, automated.
All right, let me take that step two forward and bring in an enabler's perspective. Sameer, how can technology, in your opinion, help in improving service recovery outcomes from the vast clientele, vast use cases that you serve? If you could share a few examples.
So, I was listening about the manufacturing industry where it is a B2B setup, and I'd like to share a real life example where we were interacting with the technology team of a very large organization, and that particular team has sets of power towers and power lines in very remote locations. And they decided to roll out some technology, and there was an need to get those people onboarded on the systems and enter the data via laptop. The first reaction that the people and the field gave, the reaction was very simple. People sitting at HQ don't understand what really works at ground. And this is not something new. This is quite common across industries, across fields, where people in the field react in the same manner. They say that people sitting at HQ don't understand what really works at ground level, what really works for us. So that's point number one. Again, coming to a weaving industry where there was a serious pushback from the workers on the ground level, where they where they're trying to analyze the machine analytics because and predict the downtime based on the performance and installing miniature cameras and so on and so forth. The workers which were working in the industry for more than 20-30 years, probably, where the first reaction was, aap mujhe sikhaoge kya? So that kind of things coming from the field. And that's where the collaboration technology and the enabler team needs to work hand in hand, needs to really understand what really works at the ground level, partner with them and provide with tools and applications which work at the ground level, and not something take a unilateral decision at the HQ level or company level and say that, hey, these are the tools, start using it. It doesn't work at the field level, and that's where the resistance comes in, that's where the friction comes in, and then all hell breaks loose. So it's extremely important for the tech teams to partner with the businesses, partner with even ground level people. It's not about collaboration is no longer, there are people working at the shop floor, right? It is about inclusion, right? Getting them feel how they can, why does a chairman or a senior person only need to put a camera and see what is happening? Those days are gone. They should be able to interact two-way with people back at, convert it into a kind of a Zoom room, and have a two-way interaction. It's about inclusion. That's what employees love to have. So it's about inclusion, and it's about understanding and partnering with what works at ground level, and giving and enabling that.
All right. On that note, let me take in an audience question and get you to respond to that, Sameer, considering it's close to what you have described right now. This question comes from Sushil Kumar Nahar. And the question is the biggest challenge in terms of, say, workflow, which you've encountered during your interactions with many organizations. So what would you highlight is the biggest challenge of workflows now, despite so many options available to organizations, so many solutions being available through technology?
Well, I think the biggest problem is two teams coming on a same platform and interacting or collaborating, right? Be it whiteboarding, or be it taking notes, or having that information readily available later on for accessing it and sharing it across the wider audience. I think that's the biggest challenge, because somebody might be using one platform, the company which is acquired, or it's a customer, or it's a partner. Partners are on using some other platform. Customers are using some other. But just imagine, you as a company can actually use a chat channel or a meeting platform or a collaborative tool, which is across the platforms, which can enable your partners, your customers, irrespective of the platform that they're using. They don't need to migrate, but you can integrate, you can have them come on the same platform and interact and chat with you. And that's the beauty of collaboration. That's how it should be. It should be seamless. It should not be something working in silos that, oh, I want to interact with this customer, then I need different platform. Or I need to interact with that customer, I need a different platform. And you know what? At the end of the day, the information is all in a silo. I have done 4 meetings, I don't know where is what, and I'm referring to my handwritten notes as to where the information is going.
All right. So Ben, let me get your thoughts on this for all these problems that come about. Do you think, how do you think it affects the build versus buy decision? Is it always going to be build when it comes to workflows in terms of solving problems, or is there an option to buy as well?
So Gautam, we at the bank, given our scale and the kind of infrastructure that we manage, it's not always easy to be on the build or the buy versus decision. This is it's a journey that we have to work on very collaboratively with the kind of partners that is there available in the industry. get them to partner us in co-creating solutions for the customer, because technology is changing. We are a bank, we are experts in banking and banking solutions, but not really in technology. But that's where we work with close to 80 to 100 odd partners out there who work very closely in terms of building these solutions, be it our cloud infrastructure, be it our customer communication tools, be it our bots, be it the digital channels that we deliver, and they come in very handy. Now, while it continues to be a question that we ask ourselves internally, whether we need to build or whether we need to buy. The traditional parameters remains the same, so we evaluate all of them, and we come to a conclusion as to what do we need to do. But as a bank today, as one of the pioneers in building on digital solutions, we continue to work with partners in testing them, in testing some of the innovative solutions that some of the partners are delivering to the other sectors. Uh, you know. Trying to see how we could adopt it for the banking industry, and deliver some similar experiences for the customer that he or she might be able to deliver, maybe on a consumer durables, maybe on Zoom or any of the other platforms that they may be able to deliver. And that's what really enables us as a bank to deliver products and solutions which the consumer accepts as a new age solution for them. That's really the beauty of the banking in the future.
All right. Our next question comes from Raghav, and the question is unlocking the potential of data to connect customer lifecycle processes. That's one of the biggest challenges faced by organizations today. So the question is, how can intelligent and improved workflows help with that? Krishnan, you want to take this on?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is to keep workflow simple so they can be analyzed in the first place, right? So, and workflows typically generate their own data sets as well. So if you take our customer experience, the recency, frequency, lifetime value, the number of times a customer has visited our store, visit our web, and have we been able to stitch the conversation together across multiple channels, and always been able to start off from the context of the previous conversation. All of these things go into being able to create a data stream that is analyzable, right? So your patterns of customer interaction that you offer your customer have to be relevant to the customer and appear rational in the first place, relevant. And you should have a data model that is able to stitch them together and make sense of the whole thing. So we have customers, for example, who shop only in the store. We know that, right? There is no evidence that they have come onto the web, though possibly they're coming as anonymous users, but they don't log in, right? And there are customers who do both. They visit the store and they log in onto a site as well. So we have many accumulations of different behaviors, but it's because we have made and continue to make many such good choices in terms of how to engage. And it's a long conversation, so if you want to get in touch separately, welcome.
Absolutely. All right, let's take the last question from the audience. This one comes from Rajan, and it's a simplified version of the question asked earlier. How can smart workflows help in customer engagement and acquisition? Shiva, you want to take this on? And I mean it from the perspective of, let's say, B2B, where your strengths lie. Smart workflows to get more customers. What according to you is the key there?
I think Mr. Krishnan has covered already. So he's a retail man, and he's been in the banking and now is into the retail business. So he has covered most of things. I think customer engagement is always it's a big question in respect of whether you are the B2B or B2G. So you need to have a continuous in touch with the customers. So how do you track it? How do you go with your previous conversations? Like you started with the conversation of what this is what you discussed, and this is what is the discussion is going to be. So that is the kind of where you build your personal relationship as well as with your inclination towards serving to your internal customer or your external customers. So obviously kind of solutions and are the now there are lots of plenty of system, even the mobile apps have come in where you want to keep of it, and where you can trace it through this one. And in simple example, how we do it in the mobile app is we were saying that we have persons where we can track from morning till evening. So what are the places he has went and what are the discussions he had with the customers. There is a provision in the app to capture all the information. So it will be in hand,
All right.
like how the representatives of medical. Yeah. So the technologies are already available. You may not say that it's a workflow, but there are functionalities have been built in to capture when you meet your customer and when you meet next time your customer. So how do you kind of elevate from a previous level to this level? Yeah.
All right. Krishnan, you had something to
I
add?
think this is what
Just take something as simple as expense approval workflows inside an organization, right? And it's perfectly possible and happens all the time that these workflows become so complex that they're actually a source of frustration, right? And there are many organizations that got it right in terms of with relevant value-driven workflows with probably automatic approval as well. So a simple example of how you can either make your company a great place to work from this aspect or simply frustrate many colleagues.
And it always is a sort of a balancing act for anyone who's in a leadership position. Well, as we look to sign off, Sameer, maybe we get the last word from you on the biggest transformation that you see taking place in enterprise workflows, especially with the rise of the next billion users coming out of tier 4, 5 areas in India. Your last word, Sameer.
So I think we are still at we have multiple generations of people, if I may say that. First is, I think, the traditional manufacturing companies, which are going through a huge amount of transformation, digital transformation, adopting technologies, and looking at redesigning the workflows. And on the other hand, we have the digital native organizations, which are assuming or have adopted technology as a part and parcel of their daily lives. And probably, if technology is not as synchronous over there, probably they would not even probably continue. The employees and customers would move out. So I think that's where we are. But one thing is common, and one thing is common, which is the customers are looking at omni-channel, kind of platform for communication. They are looking at omni-channel experience when they are interacting with sales, pre-sales, post-sales, support, billing, whatever it might be. That's first thing. They are looking at faster resolution timelines, and the same goes for the employees, because employees need the access to information. Employees need to be empowered to be able to provide the necessary customer support and all that. So if these things are not implemented, if the employees are not really provided what really works at ground level, that's where workflows start to break down. There is a lot of friction. Customers are not happy, and so on and so forth. So I think that's what we are seeing in the field, and that's what we are doing at Zoom, enabling it and bringing in the human element in every piece of workflow that is changing today.
Well, we are in the midst of winter, but here is hoping for sunny days in the workspace with better workflows being enabled by technology. Well, that brings us to the end of this conversation around rethinking workflow integration for better CX and EX as part of Forbes India presents Redefining CX, the edge of collaboration platform powered by Zoom. I'd like to thank all the panelists for sharing their lessons and insights on the topic, and of course, to all of our viewers for tuning in and enabling this dynamic interaction of thoughts and ideas. Thank you so much for your questions. Till next time, this is your host, Gautam Srinivasan, signing off. Have a great day.
Forbes India presents Redefining CX, the edge of collaboration platform powered by Zoom.